Hello and welcome back to Beckler Guitars and Repair. And today we're checking out a pretty neat SG. This is a 2016 Gibson SG Special T Tribute in satin ebony, and it's got mini humbuckers. Let's check it out. So I picked this one up locally. I haven't went through it at all, so we're going to do that today for the video. It comes in this pretty nice padded Gibson case. We've seen all these before, but it looks like there's a little bit of extra padding on this one. And it's got a really robust zipper. And yeah, here we go. I really like these T series in about 2016 SGs. I recently reviewed a 60s one that was fantastic. So I'm excited to check this one out. I haven't tried a set of Minibuckers in quite a while. So this model has some pretty unique features. Again, this is a 2016 Gibson SG Special T. So it's got the mini humbuckers. So these are Alnico 2 495 R and T pickups, and they're blade style pickups. So they're supposed to sound pretty cool. I'm excited to plug this thing in. And it's got a really thick, it's actually mentioned in the specs as being thicker than normal, so it's got a really thick rosewood one-piece fingerboard, and the rosewood looks to have some really nice grain. It's kind of that darker red rosewood. It looks like Brazilian sort of, but yeah, it's pretty nice. And this one has block inlays as well, which is kind of a unique feature for an SG. It's got a Tectoid nut. And the headstock is bigger. So it's like kind of a 70s style headstock. This whole guitar is kind of like a 70s style tribute SG. So it's got a big wide like paddle style headstock on there. And the neck feels chunky. I'm not sure if it's a 60s or a 50s. We'll have to check it out on the bench later, but it feels good in my hand. I like a bigger neck. Got a one-piece pick guard here, and comes with the two-pneumatic bridge. Three-way pickup selector. We got a cream poker chip, and then we've got some golden top hat reflector knobs. Let's switch over to the back, and this is a satin finish. It's a gloss nitro finish, but it's satin. We've got that textured back plate. I think this is the back plate that has the built-in shielding that Gibson had used in those years. This is a slab mahogany body. Sometimes you can see the seam lines in these satin finishes, because it's basically a line that goes right down the guitar that you can see, but I'm not seeing one. I'm pretty sure this is more than a one-piece body, but I'm having trouble seeing the seam line right now. And this guitar is in really nice shape too. It's almost like new. I think there's two spots that has a little ding in it, and I'll show right away here. Another unique feature on this guitar is the volute. So 70s SGs had the volute, and this one does too. I really like the volute on Gibsons. It just gives a little bit of extra strength in this much needed area in case it falls or something like that. It just reinforces the neck a little bit. So I really like volutes on Gibsons. And here's the wear I was talking about. So on this guitar, the only thing I can find are these two little spots where it's worn through the finish, two little chips. I think that's probably due to a stand rubbing on it or something, but other than that, this guitar is like almost mint condition. Yeah, it's quite a good looking guitar. Definitely has that 70s vibe, and yeah, some pretty unique specs. All right, let's go ahead and get it on the bench, and we'll take some measurements. Weighing in at a very light 6 pounds, 13.5 ounces. Or 3.106 kilograms. And I did plug this in before buying it, so let's just check out the pickup readings. These are the 495 R, rhythm is the neck, and T for the bridge pickup. And these are Alnico 2 blade style pickups. So in the bridge position, it's reading a 6.78, and in the neck position, a 6.13. And in the middle, a 3.20. So let's have a look at the pickups. So the Minibuckers have these really large pickup rings. These are cream, and they're mounted with a little bolt on the underside here where the screw mounts to the pickup mount. And then these are braided wire, and it says Lead Tribute with a date stamp of 2016. And then inside the cavity, it looks to be well routed, nice and clean. And the pickup actually mounts to this base plate that they put inside of the cavity. There's just receiver screw holes into the base plate that the pickup screws into. Let's have a look at the neck pickup. Neck pickup is more of the same. It says Rhythm Tribute with 2016. And there's a look at our neck cavity route, which again is nice and clean, and it has the plate that it mounts to in there as well. Here's a look at the pick guard, just a 1-ply cream pick guard, and it's got the top part here to hide the neck joint. So you could rock it without the pick guard, but you've got a lot of screw holes and you've got that ugly neck joint to look at. And here's a look at our 2-pneumatic bridge. It's labeled API, and they just mounts into the body with these bridge posts that go into the receivers on the body. And here's a look at our tailpiece, and it's branded Advanced Plating Incorporated. Appears to be full weight. Let's have a quick look at the electronics in the cavity here. So this is the textured backplate I was talking about. Apparently this is built-in shielding into it, so that's kind of neat. And this model has hand-wired, so that's nice to see. I know a lot of these models in this era have the control board system, or the PCB board, and a lot of people aren't the biggest fans of those because they're kind of hard to replace components and stuff like that. So this is more like a traditional style wiring. We've got our Gibson branded pots, and it looks like there's a bit of a factory code in there. Some employee signed this. And then we've got our 2 little disc ceramic style capacitors there, and this looks untouched. And we've got a Switchcraft output jack, and the route looks nice and clean. And in this year, Gibson was using these big aluminum large strap buttons. I like them. They're a little bit wider, so they hold your strap really well. And here's another look at that nice thick piece of rosewood. This is a 1-piece rosewood fretboard, and it's got some really nice color and grain to it. It's got that really dark red kind of streakiness that you see on Brazilian rosewood sometimes, so it's quite a nice looking fingerboard. And then it's got those block style perloid inlays, which you don't usually see on SGs. And the fretwork feels nice. There's no sharp edges or anything like that. And the frets are in really nice shape. This guitar is in really good condition. It appears to be not played very much. There's a look at our Tectoid nut and our truss rod, which is in nice shape. No thread showing, lots of room for adjustability. And another look at that big paddle headstock. Alright, so let's go ahead and put this thing back together and get it set up, and then we'll check the setup. Some quick neck specs. So that is a 1.673 at the nut, or 42.5 millimeters. And at the 12th fret, that is a 2.14 inches, or a 54.47 millimeters. Neck depth at the 1st fret is a 0.817 inches, or a 20.75 millimeters. And at the 12th fret, that is a 0.975 inches, or a 24.78 millimeters. And here's a look at the neck profile. It's a pretty standard C, maybe a little flatter than some, more approaching that kind of D territory. And it stays a little flat by the 12th fret. And it feels like kind of a narrow, a little bit thicker of a neck. I would say kind of in between a 60s and a 50s. It feels a little more chunky than a 60s, but not quite a 50s. And the neck's a little narrow. And let's just quickly see if there's any neck dive on this guitar. And no, there isn't. It stays right where it should, which is kind of rare on an SG. And I got a decent setup on this SG, so using my notched straight edge, we can see that there's just a very little bit of relief in the neck. You can see that little light between the straight edge and the fingerboard. So that tells me that there is a little relief in the neck, but the truss rod is still set tightly and the neck is nice and straight. And then here in the 3rd fret area, you can see that when I use the 3rd fret, that the strings are just resting against that 1st fret. So we've got good action over here and a well-cut nut. And then here in the 12th fret area, using my depth gauge, you can see that sitting at just about a 1 millimeter for the low E and about a 1 for the high E. So yeah, very nice low action. Just going to quickly run through the fingerboard to make sure there's no buzzing or fretting out anywhere. I like to speed up this part, but if you want to hear it in real time, just slow down your player to 25%. So yeah, very nice low action and no major buzzing or fretting out anywhere. I noticed a little bit of a sizzle on this A string up in the higher frets, but it's not enough to worry about, and it's only on that 1 string. Again, you could do a partial fret level to fix that, but I've also got the action quite low, so you could also raise it up a bit to get rid of that. So I think it's quite good the way it is. And the neck feels good. It's definitely narrow feeling. If you've played a 70's SG before, they have those like little narrow necks, and this is kind of in the same vein. I think this is a little thicker than those 70's ones. Those 70 ones were super narrow, but you definitely get the feeling it's a little bit of a different neck profile. And it's a little chunky too, so it feels good. It's a little small for my hands, the narrow part, but I can still play it pretty comfortably. And let's try out the guitar acoustically. Rings up for a very long time, still going, and it's nice and resonant, and there's good vibration to it as well. Quick look at condition. There's not a lot to talk about in that regard. The headstock is super clean, no scratches or dings. The nut's well cut. The fingerboard is very nice grain wise, and there's no fret wear at all. And the frets are nice and smooth too, no sharp edges. The top of this guitar looks great. You even see in the light there's no scratches or dings or impressions even. Very well taken care of. Same thing on the back. There's no like buckle worming or marks or dings. There's some fingerprints there I'll take care of. Clean those up. And there's nothing on the sides, nothing on the horns. Very clean guitar. The neck. The satin finish has been worn glossy through play. It still feels really good, nice though. And there's a look at our volute and our vintage style machines. And our serial number is kind of hard to see, but there it is. So the only marks on this guitar are there's one little mark here where it rubbed through the satin finish, which is very easy to do. So likely it must have been sitting on a stand and it reacted or something. And I just noticed here above the top just a very small wear mark right here on the edge. Alright, let's go ahead and plug it in and see how it sounds. Alright, I'm plugged into my 1965 Fender Bassman here in my settings. I'm going to be using a Honey Bee Barefoot Effects overdrive pedal and then a Flint Strymon for a little bit of reverb. We're just going to go through each position clean and then with a little bit of overdrive. Yeah, sounds great, clean, some really nice, warm, kind of vintage sounding pickups. Yeah, they sound great. I'm going to try them with a little bit of dirt. All right, final thoughts on this 2016 Gibson SG Special T. I really like it. I think it really has a really cool 70s vibe with the block inlays, you know, the narrower neck, the big headstock, the big paddle headstock, and the Minibuckers with the cream plastics. It's definitely a really classy looking guitar. I really like the extra cool features on it, like the volute is a really nice touch. And the neck profile is something you don't really see on Gibsons a lot. This is a very, you know, 70s Gibson SG. It's not perfect, but it's a narrow neck and it's got that chunky feel, which is what the 70s SG necks felt like. Guitar super resonant, lots of vibration. It stayed in tune really well. It played great. Low action, no buzzing or fretting out. It's got a really nice weight, no neck dive. Just seems like a great guitar. My only criticism, I guess, would be the narrower neck. This is correct spec-wise, but I just can't get along with those 70s SG necks. They're just too narrow. This one's not as narrow for sure, and it's still comfortable for me to play, but I just prefer a wider, thicker neck. And I think these pickups really stole the show on this guitar. Like, they sounded great. Really nice, warm, vintage sounding pickups. They had really nice mid-range. They broke up really nicely. They were articulate and clear. Awesome pickups. And again, this guitar is in really, really great shape. The only marks on it at all are these two little marks in the back of the headstock from a stand, and a little bit of wear on that one corner. Other than that, this thing's like mint. And it comes with a Gibson soft shell case. If you're interested in this guitar, I'm gonna have it up for sale in the Reverb. I really like it, but I've just got other SGs I like a little bit more. But that's gonna be it for today. Thank you for tuning into Beckler Guitars and Repair, and I'll have more for you really soon. Thanks a lot.